We hear this word populism thrown around all the time, right? But what does it actually mean? It's a label that gets slapped on so many different political leaders that, honestly, it can feel like it's lost all meaning. So today, we're going to solve that populist puzzle. To really get to the bottom of this, let's start with a little thought experiment. First, picture a leftist firebrand from South America. You know the type, known for radical economic policies and these fiery anti-establishment speeches. Okay, got that person in your head? Now, what could that leader possibly have in common with, say, a conservative maverick from the United States who's all about free markets and traditional values? On the surface, it feels like absolutely nothing. And yet, both Hugo Chavez on the left and Sarah Palin on the right have been called populists. Now, if you're only thinking about politics on that traditional left-right line, this makes zero sense. They're ideological opposites. So what is the connection? Well, the answer isn't on that familiar line at all. To solve this puzzle, we actually need to add a whole new dimension to how we look at politics. That old left-to-right spectrum, it's useful for a lot of things, but for this puzzle, it's missing a huge piece. The key lies on a completely different axis, one that doesn't measure what a politician believes, but how they do politics. Political theorist Pierre Ostague suggests we add this, a vertical high-low axis. When you combine it with the familiar left-right one, you get a much, much richer map of the political world. Because this second axis, as you can see, isn't about policy. It's all about political style. So what on earth do high and low actually mean here? And let's get one thing straight right away. This is not about rich versus poor. It's all about political culture and style. So let's break that down. This axis is really built on two core components. First, there's the socio-cultural part, which is all about manners and how a politician presents themselves. And second, you've got the political cultural part, which is about the type of leadership and authority they promote. Let's look at that socio-cultural piece. The high style is polished, it's well-behaved, very cosmopolitan. Think of a statesman who speaks in these carefully chosen words. The low style is the complete opposite. It's uninhibited, maybe even a little coarse, and deeply nativist, proudly from here, not from some global elite. And now for the political cultural component. The high end respects procedure, institutions, and the rule of law. It's all about the proper process. But the low end? Nah. It prefers personalist authority, a strong leader who gets things done, even if it means breaking some rules. The source theory even uses the word ballsy to describe this style of daring, direct action. So you can really start to see the contrast here, right? High politics clusters around ideas like propriety and proceduralism. Low politics, on the other hand, is defined by being coarse, personalist, and proudly from here. It's a fundamental conflict of political styles. And I've got to repeat this because it's so important. A politician's personal wealth has nothing to do with this. I mean, think of Silvio Berlusconi in Italy, a billionaire who absolutely mastered a very low political style. You contrast that with Mario Monti, a technocrat who was the definition of high. It's not about the money, it's all about the performance. So how does all of this connect back to populism? Well, with this high-low axis, we can finally get a clear and really useful definition. Here it is. Populism isn't just being low. It's about actively and confrontationally flaunting it. It's about celebrating the coarse and the direct as being more authentic, more real than the polished style of the so-called elites. So what does flaunting the low actually look like? Well, it means intentionally breaking the rules of proper behavior. It means claiming to be the voice of the real people against a corrupt elite. And it often involves a very provocative, fighting hero persona. As the theory puts it, it's basically a way of raising the middle finger to the establishment. Okay, so now we have all the pieces. Let's go back to our original puzzle and see how this new map makes everything just fall right into place. Here's our grid again. We have the familiar left and right, but now we also have high and low. This creates 4 really distinct political quadrants, and now we can start placing figures inside them. In the high left quadrant, we'd have figures like the French socialist Lionel Jospin. He advocated for left-leaning policies, but he did it in a very high, procedural, and formal style. Over in the high right quadrant, you'd find someone like David Cameron from the UK. He pursued a conservative agenda but presented himself in a very polished, high political manner, very much a part of the establishment. Now let's move down to the low left. This is where we place Hugo Chavez. His policies were firmly on the left, but his style was aggressively low, personalist, confrontational, and totally dismissive of formal procedures. And finally, in the low right, we find figures like Berlusconi and our original puzzle piece, Sarah Palin. They combine right-leaning policies with that low political style, challenging norms and presenting themselves as anti-establishment. So the connection between Chavez and Palin was never about ideology. It was about their shared position on the low end of this axis. Puzzle solved. Look, this isn't just some academic exercise. This framework is a really powerful lens for understanding the conflicts shaping our world right now. It helps explain the rise of leaders who just don't fit the old molds, and it shines a light on the deep cultural divides that often feel way more powerful than any policy debate. So the next time you see a political leader who seems to be breaking all the rules, don't just ask if they're left or right. Ask yourself, are they high or are they low? And more importantly, are they flaunting it? With this new map in mind, take a look at the political stage. Who do you see differently now?